Thank you very much. There was a period when I was using the internet and knew every single person on a first-name basis who was on the net. And that was in 1969, 1970, in the very early days. And many of the people who were early users and part of the community that brought you digital convergence truly had no idea that it was going to explode to the degree that it has. But some of us really did believe that things like flat panel displays, like sort of the multimedia as we know it today, were definitely going to happen even if we had the scale and the timing wrong. So the question today is, what's happening today that was similar to 1970 that will be happening tomorrow? What are some of the things now? Because we can project very easily things about bandwidth and so on, but what are some of the big changes? And I'm going to try and address that by going back to some very basic phenomena. Just over 50 years ago, the world was basically composed of two elements: things, physical things, and ideas. And what happened in the 1950s and 60s was that the bit emerged. This little 1 and 0, the world of digital, emerged about that time. Most people don't realize that the word bit did not even exist until 1949. And what happened with bits is that a third element, it's not really physical, in fact, it's certainly not physical, but it also represents things, it represents ideas. You can manufacture them, ship them, deliver them. And so the world of what I would call bits and atoms emerged that created convergence. It created the ability to take things that were separate previously and make them one. And the next convergence is quite simply where the bits and atoms aren't different, but they come back together. And this is something that's perhaps hard for us to understand because we think of them as so different today. Whereas tomorrow, you will be eating them, you'll be wearing them, and the digital world will be every part of your life, not in terms of boxes, not in terms of little handheld devices that we have in our pockets, but in terms of every physical thing you touch, everything you eat, everything that is around you. Every surface will be a display, potentially, and it may or may not turn on. Everything in our lives will have both a physical and computing element to it, and they will all talk to each other so that everything talks to every other thing. And networks might be so small that they're inside the elements of a drug that you take, like a vitamin pill. We will all be eating computers on a very regular basis. Or the network could be a big one, a whole neighborhood, networks, and from the bottom up as well as from the top down will be the future of telecommunications. And I would like to sort of urge people when they think about convergence that you don't just think about it in terms of telecommunications and computing coming together, but you think about a convergence of intelligence that includes not just the functions of the device, but eventually an element of common sense that it has and makes itself easier to use.